A lot of books and movies are off limits if judged by Bible standards. But when I find a story that doesn't conflict with those standards, I enjoy it that much more. Adrian.
How the fuck can you find a book that... You really have an entire book you can read through that doesn't have something in it that's going to offend a dub? What book are you reading, Bambi? And who the hell sits under a tree reading a book with a shirt tucked into khaki pants and brand new white sneakers? What is going on with you? You're sitting by a pond reading a book? Unbelievable. Well, we're going to discuss books, movies, and music, friends. Get the Watchtower perspective on these popular forms of entertainment. Did you know more than 1,000 books are published each week in the United States alone? And half of those are Watchtower books, containing the same recycled absurdities again and again. Here's what to avoid. Similar movies. Many books promote values that are contrary to Bible standards. How could they? They let us down. Don't they know we're Jehovah's Witnesses? For example, some are sexually graphic or have spiritistic themes. But the Bible says, let fornication and uncleanness of every sort of greediness not even be mentioned among you. Ephesians 5:3. It also says that spiritistic acts are bad in the eyes of Jehovah. Unless you're a Johannes Greber, in which case he has a job he'd like you to do. It's just a job. Nothing personal going on here. How to be selective. When looking for a good book, I look at the back cover and browse through the chapters. If I see anything objectable, I don't buy it. Maria. These people have literally never heard of not judging a book by its cover. Unreal. As I grew up and began thinking for myself, really? Come on. You're really going to begin with that sentence. You're going to begin this paragraph with that sentence. As I grew up and began thinking for myself. All right. I realized the importance of listening to my conscience. If I determined that a book was bad, I would stop reading it. I realized that it didn't harmonize with God's thinking. If you only want to read a book that will harmonize with God's thinking, why don't you just stick to the Bible? Because anything that's not the Bible, anything that strays away from the Bible, cannot be... I'm just saying, if that's your criteria for reading material, anything you read besides the Bible isn't going to be the Bible. Do you see where I'm going with this? Corrine, I want to cry for you. Punch you in the face. Tip! Broaden your taste. I find that I can get much more engrossed. If you're getting engrossed in classical literature, you might need to put the book down and fan yourself. Go outside for some fresh air. I don't think engrossed is the feeling you want to nurture there. I am engrossed in classical literature more than modern fiction. Modern fiction sucks compared to, says Lara, 17.
You're only 17, Ethan.
The wording, the character development, they're just fantastic. Yes, classical literature. People that had pots under their bed where they would piss and then slide it back under their bed. They're just fantastic. Life was better back then. Back when people kept chamber pots where they would piss and shit and keep it in their bedroom. Just fantastic. Why not ask your parents? They're cool. No, your parents aren't. No. Your parents don't suck. They're not going to ruin all the fun. What has changed with regard to entertainment since you were my age? Oh boy, that won't be boring. Yeah, get them started on that. What changes did your parents tell you took place between their adolescence and yours? Well, how would they ask that question if they didn't have awake articles back then? Addressing this. Oh my god. What did we do before awake? I can't remember. Oh my.
Some music can cause us to become curious about things that we as Christians should abstain from. We don't want to override our good conscience simply for the sake of liking the beat of a song. Janice.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. How could something someone else does cause you to become curious? If you become curious, isn't that your problem? How are you going to shift the blame to some piece of artwork that someone else has created? Isn't your curiosity about sex? I'm guessing you are talking about sex, Janice. Uh-huh. Yes, I am. How did you know that? Your uncontrollable, insatiable curiosity about sex isn't someone else's problem, young lady. It's yours. By the way, below, put a check mark next to your favorite type of rock music. No, the elders aren't going to use this against you. This is not entrapment. No. You could either choose rock or classical or hip hop or classical. But what? The elders aren't going to examine this later and then talk to you. What? Ask yourself, does the music I listen to make it easier or harder? That doesn't have a double meaning, by the way. For me to control my sexual desires. Friends, I'm going to read this for you one more time because I want you to drink this in like OJ. Does the music I listen to make it easier or harder for me to control my sexual desires? No, that's not a bizarre question. I think Janice is having a very difficult time controlling some very sexual desires. What do you folks at home think? Let's read more about it. Questions young people ask, answers that work. Oh, that's not outdated. No, that's only a quarter of a century old. There hasn't been dozens of things proved wrong in that book. No, people didn't commit suicide because of the bad advice that was in that book. There aren't dozens of dead teenagers that are... What? There's not. Did you know? 4 major music labels combined to release some 30,000 albums a year? That's frightening you by sheer numbers. That is a terrifying statistic. Thank you, Watchtower, for that. What to avoid? Similar to movies and books, much music today is morally degrading. Explicit lyrics and graphic music videos. Who the fuck watches music videos anymore? They don't even make them anymore. Can make it even more difficult for you to control your sexual urges. I think somebody's having sexual urges. What do you guys think? I'm fine. I'm fine. I can listen to a song without whipping it out. Can you, Janice? Or it seems to be you're having some sort of difficulty. Is there something you want to tell us about? Because I can make it through a song on the radio without unzipping. Can you? Or who is this article written for? Who's listening to a song and having these uncontrollable sexual urges? I'm just asking. It's one of these two. One of these two is whipping it out, or both. We might get a follow-up article. Much of today's music encourages behavior that is against Bible standards. Why would a song encourage behavior that is against Bible standards? That's you know that songs are 3 minutes long, right? Do you think somebody sits down with a pen and paper to write a song? And we have 3 minutes to make a point against Bible standards. We might have to bring in extra songwriters for this one. Says 21-year-old Lee. Well, I'm sure that... all right, Lee. I'll save it. I'll save it for later. Let's see where you're going with this. How the beat makes people want to dance. And not like the polka. All right, Lee. You got me that time. That was good, Lee. How to be selective. I asked myself, if I were to let adult Christians scroll through my music list, would I be embarrassed by what they'd find? That's a false premise, Lee. Because if someone is a true Christian, they would be busy about the preaching work, not scrolling through your music. You see, Christians supposedly would not judge people by the music they listen to. Christians don't judge people. So, do you see where I'm going with this, Leanne? If someone was a true Christian, if there is such a thing, they would be engrossed, to use a Watchtower term, engrossed in the disciple-making work, not scrolling through people's CD collections. Now, who are the people that do that? Oh, that's right. JWs do that to people. They go into their houses and scroll through their music collections. Time that could be used in the disciple-making work, but for some reason isn't. So I will let you chew on that, Leanne. Thank you for the tip, Leanne. I was glad I could give you one of my own. Tip! Be willing to try some different genres. My dad enjoys classical music. Yeah, that doesn't sound terrible. I'm sure the teenagers reading this article, forced to read this article, I'm sure their hearts didn't just sink and think that this is going to be a very boring weekend. I'm sure that that is not going to lead to boring, and that's not going to ruin your weekend, asking your dad about classical music. So I heard quite a bit of it as I was growing up. Says a teen named Roberto. Wait, let me get this straight. His name's Liberto. He's a Mexican, and he's... Alright. What? No, I know lots of Mexicans that sit around listening to classical music. I do! It's very common. Learning about classical music while also learning to play the piano opened up a new world to me. And this is not a debauched world like the world of popular music, because something sucking also means that it is clean in Jehovah's Witnesses' eyes. If it sucks, it's clean. And classical music is safe. And I'm sure if you saw the statistics of classical composers who committed suicide or went insane, I'm sure you wouldn't be shocked by that. Yes, classical musicians aren't famous for committing suicide or doing other insane things. By the way, just a fun little side note here. Hitler, Saddam Hussein, Stalin, do you know what those people's favorite type of music was? Yes! Classical music, not hip-hop, for some reason. Hip-hop is the music of murder, yet for some reason, all mass murderers, from the Chinese Premier Mao to Joseph Stalin, listened to classical music. And many other warmongers through history, their favorite music was classical music. It is the music of war and killing. But it's also, because it's old and it sucks, it is also safe for Jehovah's Witnesses. Anything that is old and sucks it's similar to the Bible. If it's ancient and dusty and it sucks and it's boring, it must therefore be clean in the eyes of Jehovah. Friends, get the Watchtower perspective on these popular forms of entertainment. Did you know? More than 1,000 books are published each week in the United States alone. And half of those are Watchtower books.
A lot of books and movies are off limits if judged by Bible standards. But when I find a story that doesn't conflict with those standards, I enjoy it that much more. Adrian.
How the fuck can you find a book that... You really have and brand new white sneakers? What is going on with you? You're sitting by a pond reading a book? Unbelievable. Well, we're going to discuss books, movies, and music. An entire book you can read through that doesn't have something in it that's going to offend a dub? What book are you reading, Bambi? And who the hell sits under a tree reading a book with a shirt tucked into khaki pants?